Hey y'all, it's that ghetto Puerto Rican again. Welcome back to my channel. What I'm about to share today is not fiction. It's a disturbing crossover between propaganda and real life violence. Iran created a video that looks like a hit on President Trump. And not long after, a man tried to make it real. Let's break it all down. In January 2022, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, posted a CGI video on his official website. It showed a robot dog and a drone launching a strike on a Trump lookalike while he played golf. And guess what the final message said? Revenge is definite. This wasn't just a cartoon. It was released the same day Iran commemorated the death of General Qassem Soleimani. And I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher these names. I actually called him Salami before, so my apologies. He was killed by a U.S. drone strike in 2020, ordered by Trump himself, near Baghdad International Airport in Iraq. Here is that video.
The evening of the 2nd of January 2020, Jamwings Airlines Flight 501 rolls down the runway at Damascus International Airport. Aboard is the second most powerful man in the Islamic Republic of Iran, behind only the supreme leader, General Qasem Soleimani. Because of his celebrity, Soleimani is wearing a hat and a mask to conceal his identity. Waiting for him when he arrives at Baghdad International Airport are 3 US Reaper drones, which silently loiter above the area. This will be Soleimani's last journey. Qasem Soleimani has been a major player in the Middle East for decades. After distinguishing himself in the Iran-Iraq War, he has steadily accumulated immense power as the leader of the Quds Force, a branch of the Revolutionary Guard, which is responsible for paramilitary and clandestine operations outside of Iran. Under Soleimani's leadership, the Quds Force has been responsible for supporting Iran's allies in various conflicts throughout the Middle East for over 30 years. Soleimani has acquired a reputation as a hero among his allies, but he is also considered a violent criminal by his enemies. Soleimani's militant activities often bring him into conflict with the United States. Most notably, Iraqi militia supported by Soleimani killed more than 600 American soldiers during the insurgency phase of the Iraq War. On the 27th of December 2019, a rocket attack by Soleimani-backed militia killed an American contractor at the K-1 airbase in Iraq. 4 days later, on New Year's Eve, more armed militia vandalized the reception area at the American embassy in Baghdad. These attacks infuriate US President Donald Trump, who decides to eliminate Soleimani once and for all. Former Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama considered assassinating the Iranian general, but decided the danger of escalation was too high. Late on New Year's Eve 2019, President Trump decides to take the risk and orders a drone strike to kill Soleimani. Earlier in the day at 10:30 AM, the first Reaper drone took up station above Baghdad International Airport. Since then, a rotation of UAVs has been continually monitoring the area and ready to strike should Soleimani arrive early. These drones have been launched from Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, but are being controlled remotely from Creech Air Force Base in Nevada. The air traffic control tower is alerted to their presence, but the controllers are assured by American officials that the drones are unarmed and are simply providing security overwatch. Jamwings Airbus A320 finally arrives at 12:32 AM. And immediately, 2 cars drive through the cargo gate and onto the tarmac to meet the aircraft. In these vehicles are key Iran-backed Iraqi militia figures, led by Commander Abu Mahdi al-Mohandis, the head of the Popular Mobilization Forces. Mohandis is an old friend of Soleimani, and is the first person to greet the Iranian general when he steps off the aircraft. At this moment, the drones positively identify the target, and the operation is officially a go. Soleimani and al-Mohandis greet each other and get into the lead vehicle together. The small convoy passes back through the cargo gate and onto the access road leading out of the airport. One of the Reaper drones arms its Hellfire missiles and tracks Soleimani's entourage while the controllers await the order to fire. The 2 vehicles are about to merge onto the highway leading to downtown Baghdad when the Reaper fires 3 missiles, 2 at the lead vehicle and 1 at the other. At 12:47 AM, the missiles hit their targets, destroying the 2 cars and killing all of the occupants. Altogether, Soleimani and 9 others are killed, including al-Mohandes and 5 members of the Revolutionary Guard.
The Trump administration stated Soleimani was planning imminent attacks on American diplomats and military personnel. He was considered responsible for the deaths of hundreds of U.S. troops through Iran-backed militias in Iraq. The strike was intended to prevent future attacks and disrupt Iran's influence in the Middle East. This move was controversial internationally, with supporters calling it a justified action against the terrorists, and critics warning it escalated tensions with Iran and risked wider conflict. Iran sent a message to the world, and especially to U.S., that they believe Trump must pay. Now here's where things get scary. On September 15th, 2024, a man named Ryan Routh, or Ruth, however you want to say it, 58 years old, was caught hiding in bushes near Trump's golf course in Florida with a rifle fully loaded, ready to shoot. According to Reuters, he was there for 12 hours before the Secret Service found him. He had a plan, and he told authorities he was ready to act. Here is that video.
There are some new developments in what the FBI is officially calling an apparent assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, coming 2 months about after an assassination attempt on him. Next hour, federal and local law enforcement authorities are giving an update on their investigation. And then in the meantime, we are getting this. It is a first look at body cam footage from...
Driver, take 2 steps to your right. Take 2 steps to your right. Driver, walk straight back.
Investigators say cell phone records indicate that Routh may have been lying in wait for more than 11 hours near the golf course, armed with an SKS-style rifle.
Prosecutors are charging him with possession of a firearm while a convicted felon, as well as possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Today, Trump is meeting with the acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe, who actually plans to stay in Florida as this investigation plays out.
Well, Boris and Brianna, we're learning a whole lot more about 58-year-old Ryan Routh and the possibility that he could be facing some additional charges in all of this. We're being told that the 2 gun-related charges that prosecutors sought earlier today really was all in an effort to make sure that he was detained as they continue their investigation into what unfolded at this golf course here yesterday afternoon. Now, according to the criminal complaint that was released earlier this afternoon, as you all mentioned, Routh's cell phone data seems to show that he may have spent nearly 12 hours near the area where he was spotted by a Secret Service agent. So we're talking about 1:59 in the morning on Sunday to about 1:31 in the afternoon when all of this happened. We're also told that several bags were found here at the scene, as well as that SKS-style rifle and a plastic bag as well that was containing some food. We also got our first look at the moments that Routh was taken into custody about an hour north of where we are. He was arrested by the Martin County Sheriff's Office, and the body camera video shows officers kind of lined up behind this one car as they made their way closer to where the 58-year-old was, and they took him into custody. Now, according to that very same criminal complaint, deputies asked the 58-year-old if he knew why he was being stopped, and according to the complaint, he responded in the affirmative, and so he seemed to know exactly why deputies were following him at that exact moment. Authorities went on to note that the license plate that was on his car that he was driving had been registered stolen.
Routh was arrested indicted for attempted assassination, and is awaiting trial. Now tell me that doesn't sound a whole lot like the Iranian video. A golf course, a man stalking the president, and a mission to kill? Ryan's trial, originally set for November 18th, 2024, was postponed and is now scheduled to begin on September 8th, 2025, under Judge Eileen Cannon. The animation in this video shows a drone strike at a golf course. In real life, a man that is stalking Trump. The imagery is nearly identical, and that's terrifying. Now, I'm not saying Iran gave Routh a script, but propaganda is powerful. You flood social media with death threats in cartoon form, and someone out there might feel called to make it real. This is why we need to take these threats seriously. As someone with family in the military, I don't play when it comes to safety of Americans. This isn't about left or right. It's about a foreign government simulating the assassination of a United States president and a real attempt following shortly after. The timing is chilling. The setting is identical, and the message is clear. Iran still deeply resents Trump for withdrawing from the Iran nuclear deal in 2018, ordering the drone strike that killed General Soleimani in January 2020. Tehran has since issued threats, including that 2022 CGI video. To make it clear, the U.S. has had hostile relations with Iran since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Recently, Israel launched strikes on Iranian nuclear and military sites, prompting missile and drone retaliation towards Israel. Israel strikes in the current 2025 conflict have been mostly aimed at Iranian military facilities, weapons depots, and nuclear sites, targets directly tied to Iran's military capabilities. In contrast, Iran's retaliation has included missile and drone attacks that have struck civilian areas in Israel, including schools, hospitals, and residential buildings, leading to civilian casualties. Iran considers Israel its primary enemy and has armed groups like Hezbollah from Lebanon and Hamas from Gaza to fight Israel by proxy. In 2024 until now, this proxy war escalated. Missile strikes, assassinations, and cyber attacks between Israel and Iranian-linked groups have intensified. Iran blames U.S. support for Israel, especially under Trump, as fueling the war. The U.S. continues to provide billions in military aid to Israel, including advanced weapons and missile defense, such as the Iron Dome. Iran views U.S. presidents who support Israel, especially Trump, as direct enemies to the Islamic Republic's survival and influence. Now, let me be clear. It's Iran's leaders, not all of Iran's people. But with Trump's close relationship to Israel's Prime Minister, Netanyahu, I always have a problem pronouncing that name, Iran sees him as symbolic of U.S.-Israel unity, making him a prime ideological and military target. The drone strike animation and real-life attempt at Trump's golf course may not be isolated. They reinforce Iran's promise of quote-unquote revenge for Soleimani. It signals Iran's psychological and digital warfare capabilities and serve as intimidation towards American leaders who stand with Israel. Trump has shown strong support for Israel, deploying additional military assets and asserting control of Iranian airspace. Trump publicly demanded Iran's unconditional surrender, but has avoided a direct strike on Iranian leadership, at least for now. Now, we all seen that truth post that Trump put out there. He knows exactly where the leader is. These assassination threats are not random. They reflect Iran's broader strategy to target those it sees as architects of aggression, both militarily and politically. With Trump in power again and frontline tensions rising in the Middle East, threats against him have shifted from symbolic to strategically significant. The United States has long stood with Israel because of shared democratic values, strategic interests, and a deep historical and cultural connection. Since Israel declared its independence in 1948, America has provided military, economic, and diplomatic support to ensure its survival in a hostile region. But for many Americans, especially people of faith, the alliance also runs deeper. I want to remind you of something important. The Holy Land is mostly in modern-day Israel and nearby areas. The Holy Land, Israel, is not just a place on a map. It's where Abraham walked. It's where Jesus taught. It's where God made promises. That's why it's sacred to Jews, Christians, and even Muslims. In Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, God says, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. America became Israel's ally in 1948. And today, in 2025, with President Trump back in office, that alliance still holds. But now, as war breaks out and Iran escalates, people are getting nervous. I know I am. We've seen threats, assassination attempts, propaganda videos. We've seen Iran strike civilian areas while Israel targets only military sites. And we've seen our president take a bold stand. They're targeting our president, like him or not, because he stands with Israel, because he refuses to back down, because he honors that ancient covenant. Iran cannot be allowed to have nuclear weapons. They don't want peace. They want control. And they've proven they'll use terror and violence to get it. That's why Trump is standing firm. That's why he's acting with strength. But I've seen the comments, the fear, the doubt. Some of you are starting to lose faith. We didn't vote for Trump because the path would be easy. We voted for Trump because he has the strength, the courage, and the discernment to lead when times get hard. This conflict, this chaos, this pressure. Because when the world shakes, Trump doesn't. So now is not the time to panic. Now is not the time to turn your backs on him. Now is the time to pray, to unite, to stand firm, because America comes first and truth will prevail. I still stand with our president, and as a Christian, I still stand with Israel. I stand with every one of you who chooses truth over fear. That doesn't mean I don't have love for the innocent people of Iran and Palestine. They need our prayers as well. So God bless you, and may God continue to bless the world that He has created.